Yeah. Any particular advice for him? Take it serious.
And yes, it's live globally on the biggest streaming platform in the world. My good old friends, Netflix, man. You guys wanted me to go bigger? How about twice as?
This is going to be the toughest fight of his career.
Stop, relax.
The most embarrassing fight of his career.
A chair across your face.
Yeah, I think he's about to make the right.
Mike Tyson just warned Jake Paul to back out of the Anthony Joshua fight. And he wasn't talking for show. If Jake ignores him, he's not just making a mistake. He's walking straight into the most brutal reality check of his life. AJ is a two-time heavyweight wrecking machine with terrifying knockout power, and Jake has never stood in front of a true monster like that. At this point, the story goes far beyond hype or headlines. The real question is whether this fight is raw courage, pure delusion, or one of the most dangerously reckless stunts boxing has ever seen.
AJ is a knockout artist with fights that have literally ended in seconds. He fought legends. Klitschko, Usyk, Ruiz, Ngannou.
Biggest shot I have seen live.
Not gonna lie, I'm a little scared.
Mike Tyson just weighed in on Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua, and he sent a warning that shook the entire boxing world. When Iron Mike says cancel the fight, he's not offering friendly advice. He's predicting catastrophe. If Jake ignores him, he's basically signing up to collide with a heavyweight freight train. Tyson didn't soften a single word. He told Jake, take it serious or you're going to be greatly mistaken. That's not guidance. That's a legend whose watch fighters get broken telling you a storm is inbound. And that storm is named Anthony Joshua.
You're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division. The fact that Jake Paul wants to fight that guy, I'll watch. And if you want to show you're legit by taking on one of the scariest heavyweights alive, he's going to be terrifying. And he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry that Jake Paul wants to fight him. Again, a guy who survived Usyk twice.
Tyson knows exactly what Jake is walking toward. Not a YouTuber showdown, not some crossover gimmick, but a 6'6" wrecking machine with nuclear power who has ended nights for men twice Jake's size and with far more experience. Tyson's own mentality explains why he spots the danger instantly. Asterisk, I'll fight anybody. I'll spar anybody. I'll mess anybody up. Asterisk, that's real fighter DNA speaking. The voice of a man who understands exactly what happens when someone unprepared steps into the wrong ring with the wrong monster.
Jake Paul, he's set to face his toughest competition yet. He's going to face off against the former heavyweight champion, that would be Anthony Joshua. The fight's in Miami on December the 19th.
Tyson's biggest fear is that Jake is bringing influencer confidence into a heavyweight execution chamber. Anthony Joshua isn't Nate Robinson. He isn't Tyron Woodley. And he's definitely not a semi-retired MMA fighter doing mitt work for a paycheck. AJ is a world-class destroyer, and Tyson believes Jake might not last long enough to even land a clean shot. Here's the brutal truth Tyson sees that Jake doesn't. The same wild confidence that made Jake famous could be the very thing that gets him knocked unconscious. Because in heavyweight boxing, charging in with ego is the fastest route to another dimension.
A heavy favorite against Paul. And that's understandable because Joshua he's only 35 years old, and Jake Paul has not fought young guys before. He's fought older guys. So you think he's going to win?
That's why Tyson's warning rattled the entire boxing world. He wasn't laughing, hyping, or selling anything. He was sounding an alarm. A legend telling Jake Paul that this fight isn't entertainment. It's danger with a price tag. People aren't calling it risky for clicks. They're calling it dangerous because weight classes exist for a reason, to keep fighters from getting seriously hurt. And this matchup breaks every unwritten rule in the sport. It's a heavyweight monster facing a man who built his career beating opponents already sliding downward.
He's a top 10 heavyweight on the planet versus internet sensation, someone who's a latecomer to boxing and has boxed at a very moderate level. I'm talking domestic level, and he lost to Tommy Fury, for instance.
Some analysts didn't even try to soften their take. They called the matchup a gross mismatch, a bad joke, and said it shouldn't be sanctioned anywhere on the planet. That's not hate. That's boxing purists begging the sport to protect itself from turning into a circus with hospital bills attached. And the warnings only get louder. Words like dangerous, Health in jeopardy, injury risk, and ambulance fight keep coming up as multiple seasoned pros insist someone could get hurt badly. At that point, you stop laughing because they're not talking about losing. They're talking about long-term damage.
Jake Paul for putting himself in harm's way, because boxing is a dangerous game. People have died in the ring. People have been seriously injured, maimed. And he believes in himself enough to do it on a massive scale, because it's not about the money. He's got enough money. This is him wanting to push the boundaries of reality. He's manifested an amazing life for himself. He's a superstar.
Some experts have flat out said Jake Paul is walking into an execution, not a boxing match. They emphasize that AJ isn't a misfit boxer, an influencer, or a retired MMA grappler. He's a two-time heavyweight champion with fists built to collapse ribs and shut off lights. The idea of putting those hands on Jake Paul is being labeled outright irresponsible. And before anyone debates skill, the obvious stands. Jake Paul is not a heavyweight. Anthony Joshua isn't just bigger. He's a different species of fighter. In face-offs, Jake looks like a kid beside a Marvel supervillain. People said it's like a bug on a windshield standing next to AJ's 6 feet 6 inches frame. That's physics.
You say an insane challenge. You've described it before as Jake Paul being a cat versus Anthony Joshua's lion.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not equally matched on any sense, are they?
And this isn't just about height. Anthony Joshua is a natural 240 to 245 pounds of pure muscle, precision, and championship experience. He knocks out men who walk around at 260 pounds, seasoned fighters who faced every type of challenge. Meanwhile, Jake Paul has spent much of his career facing opponents who were smaller, older, or straight from the MMA world. That's not disrespect. It's his factual resume. But the real nightmare isn't size. It's the raw, devastating power that comes with it. Joshua hits with a force that literally shuts off consciousness, sending trained heavyweights into survival mode with a single clean shot. Now imagine Jake Paul, who struggled against a novice-level Tommy Fury. Standing across from that,
Jake Paul can come 15, 20% in regards to Anthony Joshua. He's a completely different specimen. Look, you'll see what it looks like when they stand next to each other. And Anthony Joshua, he's not a bodybuilder. You know, he's a prime athlete. He's someone who's dedicated his life to this. He lives it. He doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. He's a real clean athlete who is going to inflict some horrendous damage to Jake Paul.
Then there's experience gap, and it's not small, it's a canyon. Anthony Joshua has faced legends, champions, giants, and killers. He's been in world title fights, Olympic finals, and pressure cooker environments Jake Paul can't even imagine. Jake, he's had around a dozen professional fights, no amateur pedigree, no Olympic system, and no elite gym battles against top 10 heavyweights. He learned boxing on camera. AJ lived it in real life. That gap is what terrifies experts the most. Jake isn't just facing a better boxer. He's up against decades of ring IQ, timing, footwork, setups, and traps he's never seen. One misstep against a true heavyweight puncher, and the night doesn't end with controversy. It ends with the medical team climbing into the ring.
I'm fighting Anthony Joshua.
No, look at my, oh no. Are you crazy? What the?
Are you scared?
No, I'm terrified.
Boxing has weight divisions for a reason. Matchmaking rules exist for a reason. And when nearly every expert warns that this fight crosses those lines, they're not exaggerating. They're being brutally honest. This is a mismatch in size, power, experience, and sheer danger. Those who truly understand boxing are genuinely terrified for Jake Paul. The most frightening part isn't just Mike Tyson sounding the alarm. It's the entire boxing world lining up, one after another, practically begging Jake to turn back before he becomes a highlight reel. When every expert says the same thing, the risk isn't hypothetical, it's very real.
If he steps in with Anthony Joshua, and it's a proper fight and there's no restrictions or anything like that, he's going to get hurt. It is dangerous. It is bad for the sport. It should absolutely not happen. I know that the people will be saying, well...
Adam Catterall didn't mince words. He said, Jake isn't just inexperienced. He's stepping into a fight so far above his level it's basically malpractice. His warning was blunt. In a real fight with no circus rules, Jake Paul doesn't just lose, he gets hurt. Carl Froch piled on with pure disrespect, saying Jake can't box, is useless at AJ's level, and that the matchup is minimum risk, maximum reward for Joshua. Froch didn't even frame it as a competitive fight. He treated it like a light workout for AJ with a massive paycheck attached.
I think Jake Paul finally realises what he's got himself in for fighting Anthony Joshua. This is not going to go good for him. Every day that passes, it seems more and more like this fight is legit and it's going to happen.
Ryan Garcia took a humorous approach, but it only made the warning sharper. He laughed, asking, "How do you go from 135 to 225? He added, Jake winning a round or two would basically be a miracle, calling it the worst fight Jake could have chosen. Then Johnny Nelson delivered one of the coldest lines ever. "You can play football, you can play golf, you can't play boxing." He said Jake is insane for thinking he can compete with Anthony Joshua. According to Nelson, AJ gains nothing while Jake risks everything, including his teeth.
He's got two chances of winning that fight: slim hope and no hope. He, you know, he's obviously very delusional, and he's a legend in his own mind. You know, Anthony Joshua. When you look at his pedigree, he's a former Olympian, right? He's a two-time world heavyweight champion.
Champion Duke McKenzie skipped the jokes and went straight to the point. He fears for Jake Paul. When seasoned former champions start expressing fear rather than predictions, a fight starts sounding less like sport and more like a hospital briefing. Tommy Fury, who already beat Jake, went nuclear, saying, "If I can beat Jake Paul, what the _" do you think Anthony Joshua's going to do to him?" Even his father joked AJ could handle Jake with his warm-ups. Nobody is pretending this is a competitive matchup.
Jake Paul is in danger, serious danger. I know you've heard it all before, but I could just reiterate what everybody else is saying. He's in serious danger of being seriously hurt.
Frank Warren gave Jake credit, but in the most unintentionally insulting way. He said Jake is trained, licensed, and fully aware of the danger he's walking into. Translation, Jake isn't stupid. He's just willingly jumping into the lion's den. Tony Bellew delivered the harshest verdict of all: gross mismatch, health in jeopardy, not even entertaining it. Bellew doesn't speak lightly. When he warns that your life could be on the line, you listen, because this isn't about hype, it's about real, serious risk.
Dangerous game. Your brain isn't supposed to rattle around in your head, particularly the way it's going to for Jake Paul when Anthony Joshua starts letting those punches fly. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be, I hope they've got some real good paramedics close by, because it could be that bad.
When this many fighters raise the same alarm, it stops being opinion. It becomes prophecy, a flashing red warning, an omen. Jake Paul should not be fighting Anthony Joshua. Period. Yet just when it seems the entire boxing world is screaming Jake run, a tiny, shocking minority steps forward with the unimaginable. Jake Paul could knock out Anthony Joshua. And these aren't trolls. One of them is Tyson Fury himself, the Gypsy King, the heavyweight champ who went to war with Wilder 3 times. Fury casually claimed he believes Jake could KO AJ, calling Joshua spent force while saying Jake is on the rise. It wasn't a mere opinion. It sounded like a dare, spoken to watch the world explode in disbelief.
This is the biggest fight of my career. I'm walking into the lion's den. I'm doing something that no one else has ever done before.
And Fury wasn't joking. He praised Jake's new heavyweight size, self-belief, and power, the same Jake Paul others warned might need a stretcher. Tyson Fury is suggesting he could pull off the upset of the century. It's either masterful trolling or one of the boldest predictions in boxing history.
Version of reality where Jake Paul somehow finds a way to win one round, let alone win the fight. You know, if there's a 1 minute section of the fight that Jake Paul does better than Anthony Joshua in, that's a win for Jake Paul. But that could be quickly overrid by the damage that's going to be inflicted to him.
Then there's a strange subset of analysts who believe chaos might be Jake Paul's secret weapon. They point to his unpredictability, unorthodox style, and wild approach. Exactly the type of off-script fighter who could catch a mentally fragile heavyweight off guard. They argue that AJ's recent knockout loss and long layoff might make him vulnerable to the perfect storm. Boxing occasionally produces a miracle no one expects, and that tiny sliver of unpredictability is the only reason some believe Jake might have even a ghost of a chance. It isn't logic. It's the chaos factor, the hope that Jake lands one perfect punch on a man with ghosts in his attic. They aren't predicting skill. They're predicting.
The heavyweight?
Yes, the big boy.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
Are you for real?
I'm serious.
What's the world gonna say when you knock his ass out? Because it's gonna happen.
I know it's gonna happen too.
Jake Paul, excuse me.
Jay!
Who are you fighting, when, and why?
I'm fighting Anthony Joshua because I'm fucking him!
While Jake Paul screams confidence in chaos, Anthony Joshua is approaching this fight completely differently. Cooler, smarter, and business-minded, AJ doesn't even pretend this is his toughest challenge. He jokes openly that it could be the hardest fight of his career, but the most embarrassing, showing just how little threat he sees in Jake. Eddie Hearn has been equally candid, admitting that putting AJ in the ring with Jake is completely unorthodox, something they'd normally avoid. But Jake's commercial appeal is so massive that the matchup instantly elevates Joshua back to boxing spotlight. In other words, this isn't strategy. It's pure, unapologetic business.
Jake Paul, as you can see here, he's a good boxer. I'm not saying he's a terrible boxer. It's the equivalent of a 100-meter race, and Anthony Joshua's runs around 10 seconds, and Jake Paul's done 12 and a half seconds. The chances of Jake winning that race, unless something dramatically terrible happens to Anthony Joshua.
AJ is coming off a brutal KO loss and a long layoff, carrying the psychological ghost of that defeat. Jake Paul is a perfect exorcism, a controlled demolition to restore confidence and prove AJ is still dangerous. The risk is mostly reputational. Knock Jake out fast and nobody notices. Struggle even slightly and critics declare AJ finished. That's why he took the fight. Not because Jake is a real threat, but because he's a $50 million tune-up before the major battles AJ is aiming for in 2026.
You know, up against the ropes with Anthony Joshua, unloading on him. It could be the end for him, literally. It could be his last day on earth.
Jake Paul isn't walking into this fight blind. He genuinely believes Anthony Joshua is beatable. In his mind, AJ is a fading heavyweight with a cracked chin, stiff movement, and a confidence problem. Ever since Du Bois overwhelmed him, Jake sees vulnerability where the rest of the world sees danger, and he has the footage to back up his belief. He studies AJ's last fight. Timing off, reaction slow, punches predictable. Where others see a monster, Jake sees a man he thinks he can clip the same way Du Bois did. AJ's decline is a roadmap, not a warning. Jake's confidence is also fueled by the massive shortcut this fight offers. Beat AJ, and he skips years of grinding, years of small fights, and years of climbing boxing's ladder. One punch, one upset, and Jake Paul instantly becomes a man who shocked the heavyweight world, leaping straight into boxing history without the usual decade-long journey. That potential is intoxicating, and it's why Jake truly believes he can pull it off.
Down on Anthony Joshua, but we're talking about an Olympic gold medalist and two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. Come on. It's disrespectful to the sport. It's like you're saying that lads, you play footy, right? It's like me, who plays for the Dog and Duck, saying that I can get on a pitch with you lads and run rings around you. Not a cat in hell's chance. It's never happening, is it?
And he's risking everything to take that shot. Jake agreed to deals giving AJ 99% of purse, leaving himself with mere crumbs. Not because he cares about money, but because he's after the moment, the legacy, the chance to silence a world that's mocked him for years. This is what makes Jake so dangerous. Not his skill, but his unwavering belief. He's convinced he's stepping into history, even as everyone else sees him walking straight into a knockout. That level of conviction can turn recklessness into something unexpectedly formidable.
And how much does each fighter get?
They get a lot of money, as they should, because they're putting on a massive global event.
For Anthony Joshua, this fight is a cash machine, but also a reputation minefield. If he destroys Jake Paul in seconds, people shrug. Of course, a former unified heavyweight champ beating a cruiserweight influencer isn't impressive. But if Jake survives, or worse, makes AJ even slightly uncomfortable, the boxing world explodes. Critics will claim AJ is washed, finished, and chasing money over greatness. One slow round, one awkward exchange, and his legacy takes a hit. Meanwhile, Jake doesn't even feel the weight of the stakes. He's only focused on the opportunity.
Business, money, all these types of things. Come on, man. There's a cut-off point at some point, isn't there? If he steps in with Joshua, Joshua will hurt him badly, and it will reflect badly on the sport. That is.
You don't think he's got the boxing IQ?
Have you seen it, mate? Listen, he stepped in with Tommy Fury, and Tommy Fury beat him, and Tommy Fury wouldn't win a British title. Come on, man. He's not at the level.
This will be streamed live globally only on Netflix. It will be the biggest fight of the year, boxing or MMA. I don't think it will do the numbers that Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson did, which was 125 million global viewers, which is Super Bowl-esque type numbers, but it will be the biggest fight of the year.
This is an exhibition. It's a real fight with real danger. 10-ounce gloves, 8 rounds, knockouts on a record, and AJ capped at 245 pounds to stay sharp. Rumors suggest Jake can be KO'd early, adding a strange, almost scripted edge to the chaos. Then Tyson Fury throws gasoline on the fire, claiming Jake could knock AJ out, calling Joshua spent force, and planting the first real seed of doubt in what everyone assumed would be predictable. Now we're left with pure madness. Jake walking into a demolition machine, AJ walking into a paycheck. And when the bell rings, only one question matters. That's a wrap for today's video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more exciting content. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you next time.